Yeah, the conditions are right for snowshoeing today. Well, shall we take the elevator or the stairs?
Beam me up, Scotty. I took off my snowshoes. They were too wide for the trail. I just got too tired of trying to walk with them. So now I'm taking the slow, just my boots route. I gotta go catch up to Glenn.
I swear it's getting colder. Need a longer rope. It's gotten a lot colder in the last half hour. The sun's out, but we took the stairs. Ooh, that's a cold north wind coming in. By the way, for those interested, we had some comments about concerns that the snow was getting in my boots as I was walking up in knee-deep snow in a previous video. But I have a bib that ties off quite tightly around my legs, and it keeps all the snow out of my boots, which is handy to have. Hey folks, welcome back to the cabin. I'm Glenn.
I'm Maureen, and today we're talking about meeting challenges head on in these uncertain times, especially with the cost of living explosion that's coming.
And we'll be talking about the simple life. Shall we take the elevator or the stairs? Right here on Cabin Life. Well, before we get into our talk today, we'd like to welcome our brand new viewers. And this is our off-grid cabin. It's 12 by 16, and we're completely off-grid. There's no running water or hydroelectricity, anything like that. Everything that we power here is done on battery power, and we're really enjoying it here. It's a beautiful spot on our 40 acres right here in Ontario, Canada. The other day when we were coming up to the cabin, we had quite a mild spell for a couple days, and it was about 40 Fahrenheit, which is about 5 degrees Celsius, and the snow was dripping off of the roofs, and we thought, well, we'd better go up and see if it's a good time to clear the snow off the roof. And we came up to the cabin, and as the day progressed, the temperatures dropped like a rock and just plummeted to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. That's, what is that in Celsius?
-6 Celsius.
-6. So, yeah, it got pretty chilly out there. It was quite the cold northwest wind. And we are now expecting a deep freeze, so we won't be shoveling any of that snow. It's going to turn rock hard and all icy. So it's just a part of the struggles that we have to deal with here. We didn't really expect it to get this cold this fast. We'll wait until another opportunity arrives, and probably won't be that long. So as we trucked our way up the cabin trail, it was really nice for snowshoeing as we started out. And with the nice snowpack conditions, you can make snowball. And by the time we finally made it up here, Maureen was having a bit of a problem with her snowshoes. They're extra wide. Mine aren't quite so wide. So
Yeah, I was having a really hard time. Those snowshoes, like Glenn says, are just a little bit too wide for the hiking trail. So we'll have to figure out something, snowshoe up the trail. But with the snow being so soft today, we thought that would be a good idea rather than trying to walk and sinking through all the soft snow.
it can be pretty treacherous at times, so you do have to be careful.
Over the past few weeks, I started to notice changes in the grocery store shelves. There's starting to be the empty spaces again, and their prices are really starting to shoot up. There was actually a report that said that price changes have gone up about 15% in the last year, and even more so, they're going to be going up possibly another 15% this year, even 25% or more. So that's going to be making a big change in our lifestyle. We're going to have to really think about how we can hone things down and really change. You know, like, we're retired, we're on a budget.
Our buying habits will have to change, our behaviors will have to change. I could see some very rough times coming ahead with everything that's going on in the media, nationally, internationally as well. It's going to be tough. Like they say that with a 25% price hike on so many items, it's going to hit us from so many different angles. Our groceries, the cost of groceries will go up, the price of coffee, bananas, oranges. Coffee, yeah, is going to go up. What was it? It was regular $10 and $7 on sale, and you saw it for $20 last week?
Yeah, on sale.
So there's more of that to come. Even the price of doing laundry is going to hurt folks. Not, those that are on a water meter, perhaps that's going to go up. The cost of the laundry, drying, and all that stuff. I mean, even if you do it yourself at home, you're still paying for the electricity or gas, the fuel to, get those little jobs done, but it's going to be costing more. And it's going to hit us from all sides. They say that 25% is going to hit us and that there will be a trickle-down effect to the consumer, to the customer that buys those things. All of those costs are going to be passed on to you and I. And so if it's a trickle on the coffee, a trickle down effect, and we're paying what, 15, 20, 25, 30% more for coffee, and then another 10, 20% for, the cost of orange juice or lumber products, or when you're at the hardware store, almost everything at the hardware store is going to go up. That trickle down effect, the price of meat, beef, the price of eggs, apparently in the States, it's like $4 a dozen, gone up to $7 a dozen in some cases. So, and it's not going to get any better. All those trickle down effects, to me, a trickle isn't too bad when it's just one trickle. But when you start getting 2 trickles, 6 trickles, 100 trickles,
A lot of trickles.
that sounds like more of a river, a torrent river that is going to be very overwhelming. And I don't want to spread any doom or gloom or anything, but I can see in the forecast, and they're trying to brace us, that things are not going to get easier before they get harder.
For us, it's going to really change a lot of things. It's going to mean a larger garden. Like, we're going to have to expand our garden this year. Like Glenn was saying, like, bring on the potatoes, Maureen. Like, get more potatoes in the ground. Carrots, herbs, squash, anything that we use, we're going to definitely try to even have a little bit in our garden. Our chickens are coming back. We're going to have chickens again this year. We'll try that, another round of chickens, so we can have the eggs, right? So at least we know we have a good solid protein. Possibly too looking at the supplier of our food. So a lot of this has been going on for a while. People got so comfortable with buying imported foods as opposed to looking to our local suppliers, like the local farmers, the beef farmers, the milk farmers, and all that, and using them as opposed to just taking whatever comes off the grocery store shelf.
The supply chain is in for a tough ride, and the costs will be going up, and all of it's going to be handed down to the consumer. Just the price of petroleum products alone, the fuel for the car, heating fuel for your home, all that kind of thing. It's really going to hit people. And let's just hope it's not so bad as what we're saying right now, but be prepared. Be prepared.
I think so. We really do. And be kind to the retailers, please. Like, I really feel for a lot of the retailers here. Like Glenn was saying, the lumber's going to go up, hardware or groceries. They're trying to survive too. So they're not causing this price increase that we're going to be having to deal with. They're just part of that trickle down thing that's going on. So be kind to your local providers, and maybe start using them more for things as opposed to just grabbing stuff off the shelf and not worrying about where it comes from.
Buy local whenever you can, and that will be helping out your neighbor who owns the store, runs the store. It'll be helping out those employees that work at those places, and it'll be helping out all the people that are interconnected in that network that keeps things flowing. If you buy local, you can actually start to wake the local economy up.
I really think I'm going to have to go back to that, really be mindful of things I buy, start stocking up.
So in a nutshell, we're going to change by getting the garden going and making the most advantage of that little plot of land. And we're going to do some canning, and we're going to raise some chickens, and we're going to try to be a little more self-sufficient. At one point, we decided during the pandemic that we were only going to go out as much as necessary. So Maureen went into town. She stocked up on all the things that we felt we needed, and we were quite fine for that. So I don't see why we can't do it for another 48 days. Should be no problem. We could probably double that to 96. So if we could go 3 months, that would be a great goal.
3 months would be a nice goal. Now, we would have to go into town for some things, some perishables, our cream, gotta have cream for our coffee, or else learn how to drink coffee black.
Yeah.
And there's a few things that we still have to go into town for on a regular basis, but a lot of things I think we could do that is stock up and see how well we could do with not having to go to the stores.
Yeah, or we could just, instead of having our coffee and have to do it black, and instead of having to go get cream, maybe we could just have cream because we can't afford the coffee.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of funny thinking about it because we love our coffee.
We do.
But you know what? That's a really serious thing to think that a person has to give up coffee because of the cost of living. But that could be a real reality for a lot of people, unfortunately.
Well, I think that coffee's about ready. Let's get some coffee, shall we? So, what does a smaller footprint mean to us?
Well, we have a simpler lifestyle. Doesn't mean it's an easier lifestyle, but it's definitely a simpler lifestyle. Watching the footprint that we take up, how much space that we use, how much power that we use, traveling back and forth to do our shopping, how much power we use on the homestead.
We came from a 2,000 square foot home and moved into a fraction of that now. And it means downsizing, it means managing, and even sometimes doing without, especially without the things that at first you think, oh, yeah, I need that stuff. But you find after a while that when you've done without and you find alternatives, you get along pretty good. So the simpler lifestyle does mean doing more with less. And it means conserving, recycling, upcycling, repurposing. And I'm a genius with duct tape and wire. Uh, but
Yes.
there's a lot of things that Maureen has learned along the way, especially over the years. Living out in the wilderness, you've come a long way from living in the city and just pushing buttons and having things that were at your beck and call. So you've made a lot of adjustments. We both have.
Yeah. And through all these upcoming times that we're talking about, like with us, I think we're going to feel it a lot with the transportation, like the cost of fuel, they're talking about it going up. And everything that we do pretty well that's not on the homestead requires us to drive somewhere to go do that, whether it's shopping, picking things up, just doing our day to day stuff away from the homestead.
And it means that those products and services are coming further than in the city, right? Is coming out to the smaller towns. That extra fuel, all those costs are going to be transferred down to us. Is that more and more of that trickle effect, right?
So, what does this mean? This means getting off your butt and doing more stuff.
You know, I've got this analogy, a metaphor, and coming from the city ourselves, we've been there. We certainly no strangers to technology, and we've seen a lot of those changes. And moving to the remote wilderness to change our lifestyle, that was our choice to do that. And consequently, the conveniences of the city are not there for us. So we have had to do alternative ways of doing things. And often what it means is getting off our butt and going out and doing the work in order to get something accomplished. And my analogy is basically I compare the days of riding an elevator. You could push a button and magically the elevator would come and it would take you to where you want to go, as opposed to taking the stairs, right? Where you get off your butt and you up the stairs you go. One way means you're not having to exert much effort or energy, and the other way means doing things yourself and being more self-reliant, walking up those stairs, as the metaphor would go. So what I'm thinking is that as people embrace technology and connect with it, it causes them to kind of lose a connection with the other, which is taking the stairs, as we say. It means instead of pushing a button and having something delivered to you, you deliver from Amazon and magically it's there, delivered to your door. And in our day, it would be like taking the stairs, would be going out to the shop and looking for what we need and then purchasing that and taking it home. So it's a longer route. Often convenience means that you pay more for that service, for that convenience, and doing it yourself often you pay less.
So is your analogy an elevator to the stairs, sir? Like right now, if you needed to go somewhere, you could just call Uber, and the Uber car shows up and takes you where you have to go instead of
Right.
having to take the bus or the train or do whatever you have to do. Or you're hungry, just call Uber Eats and they'll bring your meal to you, your fresh salad.
Exactly. As
Compared
compared to
to-
taking the stairs, which would be going out and walking to the corner store, getting some exercise, saying hello to a neighbor perhaps, and picking out your groceries and then bringing those home. And it's a whole different mindset, right? All right, we'll take that analogy a step further to illustrate. The price of eggs down in the U.S. was mentioned earlier on. It was like $4. Now it's going up to $7 or $8 a dozen for eggs. Now,
Wow.
what's the price of a baby chicken?
About $8.
Okay, so even if it was $9, $10, so for the price of a dozen and a half eggs, you could have, baby chicken, a few dozen eggs. You could have a couple chickens. Basically, you want to press a button and use the elevator. You're going to the store or having your eggs delivered to you by the dozen and paying that a phenomenal price. Or take the stairs, order a few chickens, raise those chickens, and next thing you know, delayed gratification and a little bit work on your own part, and you've got eggs for a long, long time. So that's one way of looking at the analogy as well. So with such a large part of mainstream society buying online, shopping, Amazon, Uber, all their goods and services just on a daily basis, it's not that difficult to see how people can become dependent on that service and that form of pushing the button, using the elevator, making the click.
But about 80 to 90% of people today in society are doing that. They're shopping online, they're pressing the button to get their groceries and to get their instant gratification and having it dropped at their door.
What happens if the elevator breaks? People are so dependent on that system that what if there's a short circuit in it? What if the prices are so outrageous that families can't afford to shop online anymore, or they can't afford to have these goods and services that they're so accustomed to? And to me, that's like taking the elevator, and there's a way of taking the stairs and still accomplishing what your needs are.
So what it really means is changing behaviors and buying habits.
It's up to each one of us to decide to what extent that we want to make those changes, whether you want to take the elevator or the stairs. We'd like to hear your comments. Just want to hear what you have to say about what you think is coming, and are you prepared for it?
We hope it has stirred something in you, so please leave a comment and keep it civil.
That's all for this one. I'm Glenn.
I'm Maureen.
We'll see you next time. Over and out.
Take care.
We took the stairs.